This is Resonance 104.4 FM, flippin' marvellous. Also available on bohemianbritain.com and the London Literary Pub Crawl.com. You know, we're everywhere. Oh, yes. And as you can probably hear, have a listen, I'm in rainy Edinburgh for a bit of a celebration, actually, because who would have thought we would have been here a year ago?
It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It's so exciting. I can't believe at my age to be this excited about drinking in the rain. It is just incredible.
Which I've just ordered. I'm in the company of Pip Utton, who fringe legend. I mean, just a legend. And I was joking about it on the Bohemian Britain podcast. It took me a while to actually get tickets for your acclaimed show, Bacon, which is all about Francis Bacon. So let's talk about you first, because you actually you've got a whole kind of collection of famous people that you present on stage.
Yeah, I'm one of the few people who become really grateful to be pigeonholed. I've no training, I'm not an actor, I'm a jeweller, I'm a gemologist.
Really?
Yeah, and about 30 years ago, just under 30 years ago, I came up with a show that I'd written. And it was
what made you think to do that? Were you just fascinated with the character? What was the show?
It's because I've got this enormous ego. I am just so, I think I'm the next Laurence Olivier, although I can't stand Laurence Olivier.
I'm sure he loved you very much. But
yes, he spoke very highly of me, but he spoke very highly of everybody. He's all right. It was just, this is a dream. This is a complete dream, and it's been a dream for the past 28 years, and this Fringe has just kept it going. I am sitting on top of I am just obviously very, very excited at the moment.
Well, and so you should be, and your show's been selling out, which is, unheard of almost in Edinburgh. I mean, it's not, but it's very unusual, isn't it?
It is, yes, and I'm chuffed to bits.
Yeah, and I love the fact that the Bacon, the Francis Bacon show is the first that we saw. If you hear a bit of wind noise, by the way, it's because actually we are sitting in the courtyard outside. We have a sort of a shelter over us, yes, with a bit of wind noise going on. But of course, tell us about how the Bacon show, Francis Bacon, came about. I mean, I two reasons. One is that I actually met him a few years ago, when I was very young, and he was all right with me. He was okay. I mean, it was in a pub. But the other thing is that I came home once drunk in 1992 and decided to have a go at writing a version of Henry V, which ended up coming up here in 1992, and it's been around the world. And so since then I've been involved in making theatre, so I kind of get where you're coming from. Specifically though, where did the Francis Bacon show idea come from?
I came up here with the Fringe premiere of Geoffrey Bernard is Unwell. And a mate of mine was playing Geoffrey Bernard, and I was playing all the other male characters, because you can't afford a cast up here. And one of them is Francis Bacon, and it was after almost every other show somebody said, "You actually look like Francis Bacon." So, being a cheapskate, I thought, well, I've already got the costume. let's do it. And I'm fascinated by him. Completely fascinated by him.
I mean, he was, and you do actually look like him when you've got your hair on and the coat and stuff like that. And the pretense is, without giving too much away, of course, that he's dead. So yes. This is your... Oh, the wine's arrived. That's the most important. Thank you very much. It's what we call a fee. Yeah. Thank you. Cheers, Pip. Yes, I mean, he really was a character, wasn't he? And well, you obviously sort of studied him and researched him, and the play is presented from the point of view of him being dead.
Yes. And so he's dead, and so if you're watching somebody who's dead, he has the benefit of being able to do and say anything he wants. And hopefully if he does it properly, you buy into it. And I wrote it with a friend of mine, Jeremy Towler, and we did lots and lots of research. We've tried to include as much as we can of actual Bacon quotes, but there is a limit to how much you can do if you're going to eventually tell a story, and it just worked from the very beginning. And what you couldn't see here, we normally have three canvases in the background, and the lights change and the colours of the canvases in the background change, and I change colour, and it's a bit trippy, really. Yeah. And it's just great fun. I just love doing it. And I know he would have dismissed me out of his company within about 15 seconds as not being interesting enough. But that doesn't matter.
I'm not sure. My one experience was, and it's actually Keith Waterhouse was also in the same pub. And I was only a young lad, but in London it was the Coach and Horses, where of course Geoffrey Bernard is on when he's set. And actually he was slightly frightening. I didn't know much about him, but when he realised I was a slightly green, brummy kid, he was quite nice with me. He was quite friendly, and I got that when I saw your portrayal of him, because although he could be an absolute monster, there was a kind of a warmth about him, do you think?
He was charming, absolutely charming. He had enormous charisma. I mean, he had this spiky wit that some people took as being ignorant or being nasty, but it wasn't. It was just his protection against the world, I think. And like lots of us, he put up a protection against the world, and if it didn't like the world the way he wanted the world to be, then go away and inhabit your own world.
Yeah, I loved it. I was just thinking, I won't use some of the lines you use in there are brilliant. I don't want to give them away, but there's some fantastic lines. I mean, his whole attitude about homosexuality, I thought.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's why. Being a homosexual used to be exciting. It used to be dangerous. It was illegal. They could put you in prison. These days, it's more of a disability, rather like a limp.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for doing this, Francis, then, as well. I also quite like the fact you're bringing the Colony Rooms Club. The regular listeners will know I wrote a thing called the London Literary Pub Crawl, and we go to Muriel's, as it was known. Yeah. And that was a very... and you talk about that here, and you do a brilliant Muriel as well, because she had a certain sort of camp's not the right word, but sort of...
It was a very sexy camp, husky, Eartha Kitt type, oh, good evening. Yeah, and it's the sort of voice you dream of hearing on the end of a telephone. And then you meet the person and you think, oh no, it couldn't possibly have been you. In fact, to be honest, the people actually do say that to me. They speak to me on the telephone and then they meet me and think, oh, no, we were expecting somebody far more interesting than you.
No, you're very erudite.
No, I'm not. That sounded like fishing for a compliment. But no, it does happen.
And I went to the Colony Rooms Club, but not in Muriel's day, because she passed it on to her head barman, Ada, I think.
Yes.
And then he passed it on to someone. And it was only sold, was it not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago? There was a bit of a hoo-ha, because some of apparently Francis Bacon, or not just Francis Bacon, but other artists would occasionally, in lieu of a bill, give Muriel a
Lucien
picture.
Freud and one or two others. I think Freud and Bacon were probably the best well-known, but there are lots of other very, very good British artists paid their bill by giving the bar a cartoon or a little squiggle.
Yes, and I gather there was quite a hoo-ha when the club was decided to close over what happened to that. I mean, and it's a fantastic, you've got a catalogue of characters there, haven't you? So who else have we got? Who are your favourite characters?
Francis Bacon, of course.
Yeah.
And I love playing the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I'm not even sure that's in there.
Yes, I've got a leaflet here with Pip's shows on there. So you've got Adolf. Now that's interesting. Yeah. Adolf.
That's frightening. It's that's been going for nearly 25 years now, and is quite frightening. It has a big twist. Have you not seen it?
No, I haven't. No, I've only actually seen Bacon. Your Bacon.
Oh, you would hate me after Adolf.
Really?
Oh yes, you would hate me.
And it's directed by Guy Masterson, of course.
Directed by the great Guy Masterson.
Yes. I adapted and directed him in A Christmas Carol, so we've got
Yes, I know, and I was going to have a word with you about that, because I do a one-man Christmas Carol as well, and I don't need that sort of competition.
And did you, because I found an old script that Dickens had written for himself.
Wonderful.
Is that what you, was that your source as well?
Yeah, that's what I used, yeah.
And it sells well at Christmas, obviously.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story about the Guy. Guy, when he was going to direct Adolf, he'd taken it over from another producing company, and we were going to do the first rehearsal in Brighton. And as I said, I have no training. Adolf was written 25. It's my biggest hit. That has opened me up to the world without any doubt at all. I'm so pleased about it. We get to the first rehearsal, and Guy said to me, "Right then, Pip, would you like a warm-up?" And I said, "I'd love a coffee and a brandy, please, Guy." And he never asked me again to do a warm-up.
It's one sort of way of doing a vocal warm-up, isn't it?
It is, yes. It warms everything up.
And with the Adolf script, was that you created the script?
Yes, I did, yeah.
And you've won all sorts of awards and things. I mean, how is it playing someone like Adolf Hitler? You must have been asked that a few times.
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, our actors like to play a pantomime baddie, but you play a real baddie, and it is. It's just a dream.
And so it must have been interesting, well, not interesting, I mean, without getting too deeply into it, the fact that he was able to, rise to power politically and sort of win over a whole nation politically.
It is, and that's what the whole play addresses, and it's the manipulation of people who begin to worship you or even like you, and there's nothing new in it. The Catholic Church do it, all churches do it, every politician does it. You only have to watch Trump or Blair or Margaret Thatcher or any of them to realise that actually they might not be saying the same words, but they do use the same tricks to get their applause.
I'm going to say, did you actually, I mean, it's a silly question in one sense, but did you like what you found out about Adolf Hitler? I mean, not so much what he did, but what was his character driven?
No, I hated him more than ever. And I know it sounds very old-fashioned. I think he was evil. I think the man was pure evil. And I think the reason he had such an evil influence is he surrounded himself with evil men. And they got away with evil in a bigger way than anybody could have dreamt of.
Yeah.
It's just frightening, and there are no excuses for his behaviour, no excuses for his crusade, no excuses for none of them do they have any excuses for.
There was nothing in there that you found in any way sort of attractive about him?
No, nothing.
Yeah,
not a jot.
Yeah, I'm sure there wasn't. It's interesting, isn't it?
But he too had charisma. He had power. He had that power that it's the sort of person who walks into a room and we all look at them. And it's their belief in themselves. There are some great men like I met Clinton and I met Muhammad Ali, and you were hypnotized. They only had to walk into the room and you knew it was somebody that was different, somebody special. And he got that, even though he was a short ass and only a corporal.
Yeah, that's right. Sort of rose above his station somewhat. Yes. I mean, and the other characters you've got, well, of course, at home with Will Shakespeare.
Yes, well, everybody does Will Shakespeare, don't they? It's an easy, I won't say it's an easy one-man show, but it is an easy one-man show because half of it's already written for you.
Yes.
I have this thing, and I do talk about it with Guy and others. A one-man show coming up to Edinburgh for an hour, you need to write 7,500 words. If you've got 3,000 words already written by William Shakespeare, you're on a winner.
Good point. That was my first show, was Henry V Line of England. So
yes.
The greatest hits were all in there,
Oh, yes. It's when you see the audience mouthing them with you and you get it wrong.
Yeah, that must be a problem. Yeah. I never actually performed it myself. I was too scared. I got another actor in to do it.
Oh, dear me.
I might do. I did it once for the Birmingham Rep as a charity thing, but that wasn't really. I'm not brave enough to be an actor, I don't think. And then and other people that you've lined up, of course, Charles Dickens. Someone else talking about the London Literary Pub Crawl. We featured quite a bit on Dickens because he was sort of everywhere in London, wasn't he, at some point?
Well, again, he's somebody that changed things or helped inspire change, and also kept a dark side hidden away from the public eye, and that fascinated me. And also, Nick, I don't know what you do when you write. If you write things for yourself, right? I write things for myself. The first thing I look for is somebody who isn't a sex symbol. They can't be good looking. The nearest good looking one that I do is Margaret Thatcher. Right? Because that isn't a challenge I want to take on.
Yes.
And once you've got over that, you're already presenting something deeper.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does. No, I completely get that. I didn't realise you did Margaret Thatcher. Oh, of course, playing Maggie, Margaret Thatcher.
I played Maggie, Margaret Thatcher. Yes, well,
Yeah, the voice is a lot. Was it Spitting Image years ago? The Margaret Thatcher voice was voiced by a man. And didn't they gave her voice lessons, didn't they, as well? I think?
Yes, they do. But it was the worst humour. It was the humour of the bully in the playground, taking sarcastic jibes at one's accent or physical appearance. It was just bullying.
So what's the arc? That's lovely. What's the arc of Thatcher then? Oh, well, you do it as a live audience then.
Yes, the thing with Thatcher is, because half the people in the world love her, half they hate her. I do Thatcher. I'm not judging her. I play an actor playing Margaret Thatcher, and he plays Margaret Thatcher starting to do a speech, and then she stops doing the speech, and I won't do the voice, but I won't do the voice, and she says, I'm now going to do something politicians never do. I'm not going to talk at you. I'm not going to talk down at you. I'll talk with you. You can ask me anything you want to ask. And the audience get an opportunity for the next 30 minutes or so to ask Margaret Thatcher anything they want to ask.
Oh, wow. I mean, my initial reaction to that is, how scary is that?
Well, and I promise you 3 things. Firstly, I will answer every question you ask me. Secondly, the answers will come from my heart, based on my religious and political background. And thirdly, you won't like every answer you get.
Fantastic. And so the audience then, I guess you must have a few lines ready for questions that you may anticipate.
Yeah, but the audience, it is the power of live theatre. This is what is so exciting about live theatre. Everybody knows that all the characters I play are dead, but they still come to see them. Yeah. Margaret Thatcher's dead, but you get a chance to say to Margaret, and there are some people in the audience who try to be clever and say things like, so what was Dennis's favourite sexual position, or did you have a bikini wax, and things like that. And there are other people who are really furious with and want to get, you destroyed my community. Yeah. That's my Guy impersonation. Yes. You destroyed the whole of Wales.
That's very good, actually. He's no great fan, is he?
No, and he's never seen it.
Oh, wow.
He refuses to come and see it because it's Margaret Thatcher.
Wow, I didn't realise that.
I just think it's fascinating, Guy. I hope you're hearing this.
Yes,
he'll go and watch me. He's directed me, and he'll go and watch me as Adolf Hitler, the greatest murderer the world has ever known, but he won't come and watch Margaret Thatcher.
On principle. Oh, that's an expose. I shall talk to him about that one later.
Him to direct it.
Yes, I was going to say that would have been interesting. And then you've got Einstein, of course, another fantastic, character, another brilliant brain. Was he interesting?
He's fascinating. He's so fascinating. I'm being really serious now for a time. I was looking something up the other day and came across, just about 2 months ago, scientists studying black holes realized that light was traveling through black holes and light beams were being bent. Now, this proves Einstein's theory of relativity that he published in 1915.
Wow. Yeah.
So 106 years later, they have just proved, because we mustn't forget, his was all thinking, it was all theoretical. He wasn't a hand-on scientist, he didn't prove anything. 106 years later, they have proved his theory of relativity.
That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
It's just mind-blowing. And I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
I love maths, but science I just find okay.
And did you like him as a character when you did the research?
I love him. Yeah, he's warm and cuddly, and he is the way I play him, and it's just that idea to play somebody who's become a cartoon, really. The image of I'm a German professor with a crazy German Jewish accent. What's not to love?
Yes.
I have twinkly eyes. My eyes do twinkle, don't they?
Yes. They are very twinkly. I don't want to do the accent now.
Yes, it's very easy.
No, I don't think so. I'm Nick Hennegan. We're talking to people Utton. We're outside in the courtyard. If you can hear noise like water, well, it's not a river, it's actually raining here. And just briefly, because I know you've got to shoot as well in a minute. Churchill, I suppose, one of the classic characters.
Yeah, another character that people are divided about. But again, I approached him. He's a bit like Pooh Bear, but just had more influence. And I don't think that he's one of the characters, like Bacon and like Einstein, that I grew to love as I researched them.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that must be fascinating.
Yeah.
And great to do.
Yeah, I mean there are others. Margaret Thatcher I didn't grow to like. Charlie Chaplin I didn't grow to like. Charles
Oh, that's
Dickens I
interesting.
didn't grow to like.
Why not Chaplin?
I thought he was a nasty man.
Yeah.
And today, you know, he'd have been banged up to rights on sexual abuse charges, and no, I didn't like. I mean, somebody who can write their own biography and not mention the cameraman that worked with him for 30 years.
Yeah. The ego went mad.
You know, he's a bit of an egomaniac. So, no. But Churchill, I really love. I love playing Churchill. He's jolly and lovely, and he emotionally cries. I love people who cry.
Yeah, I kind of. Funny, I'm working on a play about Winston Churchill and Robert Lloyd George, the relationship between them, which may be at Edinburgh next year. Everything
Have
crossed.
you got a Churchill?
No, not yet.
Well, you know, I'm very reasonable.
Yes, we want to have a chocolate.
Even to the point of being cheap.
Yeah, we have. Yes, it'll be a four-hander.
Awfully good value. And let me tell you, dear boy, I also have the cigars.
Oh, even better.
And the
That
costume.
you're in. And if it comes across as warmly as you presented Bacon, which I loved, and I must mention as well this. So, I'll ask you who your favourite character is in the end, 'cause I'm sure you're asked that all the time. But this other play that you do, and before I forget, I love you. That sounds very interesting. So tell us about that.
That's a tribute to my mother and my father, and to anybody else that has either suffered from or suffered from the effects of Alzheimer's. It's the most special thing I've ever written or performed. It doesn't exactly sell tickets well for theatres because it's about Alzheimer's, but it is. It's a play about somebody whose wife dies of Alzheimer's, and then he gets Alzheimer's as well, and so you see me descend into Alzheimer's, and that's it. And it came up here, and I have to say, it's so well. It sold out. It did great audiences, and I think it's one of the most powerful things I've ever written.
Yeah, well, and of course it's very topical, sadly, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that touches a lot of people.
Yeah, Alzheimer's is responsible for more deaths in the UK than anything else,
Wow, I didn't know that.
including cancer.
Wow, yeah, that is remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I've got to ask you, have you got a favourite character, Pip?
Well, I love playing Churchill, and I love playing Bacon, and I love playing the Hunchback.
And what's the story of the Hunchback?
Hunchback is all about image. You know, it's the Beauty and the Beast story, and he's on the roof of Notre Dame, and he's with the body of Esmeralda that he's rescued from the scaffold, and he rails against, you know, he loves God, he worships God, but how could God have made him and made Esmeralda? And how long have we got?
We're all right.
Right.
Another 5 minutes or so, yeah.
And Nick, would you kiss me? No, you wouldn't kiss me, would you? Because I'm ugly, aren't I? And you know, the thing is, just because you won't kiss me doesn't mean I don't want to kiss you. Doesn't mean I don't want to wake up next to you in the morning. But it'll never happen because I'm ugly.
Oh, that's very sad. I'd kiss you, Pip. Very moving. And so what are the plans? I mean, it's great to be back at Edinburgh, even though it is raining, and we're out in the courtyard. What are your plans sort of after Edinburgh and then going forward over the next year or so?
And the plans are, I've had I've had a lousy lockdown. It's taken away all energy for creativity. However, I did a show about Casanova with a very lovely and exciting French dancer, and she has come up with the idea of doing a play about Frida Kahlo and Trotsky, because they had a 3-year affair, and it could work. Other than that, I'm researching Alfred Hitchcock, to do that. I'd like to bring Casanova up here. And I know I shouldn't mention Guy too much, but Guy's asked me to write something for him. So I'm trying to think of something to write for Guy.
How dare he not ask me as well? Anyway, that's something.
No, he said, Nick's too busy.
Thank you for that, I suppose.
No, he said, Nick's too expensive.
Oh, he would have said that, I'm sure. So any touring plans? I suppose that's all gone, over the last 18 months.
Yeah, it's all gone to pot. But I mean, I'm in Germany in November. I'm in Prague in November. January, February, I'm in Spain. March, I'm touring in the Netherlands. So that's about as far as I think.
That's pretty good. That's pretty busy.
Yeah, I'm really pleased.
You must love it. I mean, you said you love playing the characters. How do you find the touring life?
Well, I love it. I mean, this is, I didn't get into this world until I was 46.
Good for you.
I'm now, by the time I start touring next year, I'll be 70.
Oh, don't look at either. Well done.
No, that's very kind. You can kiss me. And and I am having an absolute blast. Here I meet lovely, lovely people, like yourselves, really creative people who are actually doing things, who are actually trying to make the world a happier place and a more knowledgeable, a more informed place. And it's full of young people who are enthusiastic, who are breaking the mold, who are not trying to copy. And I'm just having a blast, Nick.
That's fantastic. And where can we find out more about you? Are you online?
I'm online. I've got a website, and it's called putco.co.uk. It's a new one, so that's why I couldn't remember it. I also do Instagram and Facebook, but I'm crap at it all. I really am. I don't know how to do it. And if you send me an email, don't expect a quick reply.
Well, let me tell you, I came and saw the show that you're still performing as we say this now, although of course some of this programme, the radio show, won't go until December, but if you're listening now on bohemianbritain.com, which still makes me smile, then you're sort of available, you're still at the Edinburgh Festival for another couple of
And can
shows.
I do a plug?
Yeah, please
Everybody
do.
does a plug. On September the 4th, I'm appearing in SW16. I'm doing Adolf for Secret Garden Concerts, which is a wonderful, wonderful organisation that are putting outdoor venues. I've never played Adolf outdoors before. The guy who organises it is really looking forward to putting my swastika on his roof. And it would be lovely to see anybody there.
SW16. Yeah, I must get the details and I'll put it on the blog. I'll
arrange it.
Yeah, okay,
with
fantastic.
Pleasure. Yeah.
That'd be great.
How sycophantic can I get?
Oh no, don't worry, mate. That's lovely. I mean, we've had a red wine each.
We've had a red wine each. You paid for them.
Yeah, that's kind of all right. Oh, well, thank you so much, Pip Utton. It's been
my
a pleasure
pleasure.
talking to you, mate. It's been great seeing you as well at the festival. And that's all we've got time for this time. But thank you very much. I shall be around more Edinburgh stuff to come. I'm Nick Hennegan. This is on bohemianbritain.com, the London Literary Pub Crawl.com, and Resonance 104.4 FM.